You are watching Vexit, the channel about people's passions, and today I am interviewing Scott Davidson. This is the second half of the video. However, you could start watching it from here. It will make sense, and watch the first half second.
Where it all began for me. You asked if there was anybody who was influential.
And you were talking about was it a professor, or you got past that?
A theater professor approached me. I was not a theater student because I don't know how much of the old stuff you can use, right? I was not a theater student at the University of Massachusetts. I was studying broadcast journalism. I was going to be a sports announcer. I was doing student musicals, and this professor saw the show, saw a student musical I did called Kiss Me Kate, and he said, "I thought you were terrific, and I think you should consider coming to the theater department, and I would like, being an actor, the actor concentration. I think you have what it takes, and if you wanted to make a career of it, I think you could." Which was, the most amazing thing you could ever hear.
Right.
Even now, right? As somebody who has been on Broadway and as a union actor, if someone said to me, at this age, "I think you've got what it takes," it would mean so much to me.
Right.
That's the way actors are. We are desperate for approval. That's I think why we do it.
Right.
Most of us want to be the center of attention and want to be told how great we are.
Right.
Which I know sounds shallow, and I guess it is shallow.
Right.
But it's not everything about me. It's just entertaining people on any level is important to me. We're in, you and I, a field of hospitality that if I can make someone's day, if I can make somebody laugh on a phone call, I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
I love to entertain people. I feel like if I'm not entertaining or educating or elevating their experience, I'm not fulfilling, what I'm supposed to be doing.
That makes sense. Totally makes sense.
I love to entertain. And then the thing about live theater is you're entertaining and you're hearing that response in the moment. It's so gratifying. Except when it doesn't work. Then it's really not gratifying. It's like, oh, Jesus.
Because you're also taking people away from anything like
I'd like to think
escape.
It is escape.
Right.
And for me,
right.
Just living a different life on stage, having that freedom to be someone who's like you but not you, is empowering, and fun.
Right.
But I was talking about Ed Golden had approached me, and at that point I'd already spent enough time at college, and I said, "Well, I don't think I could do that." But he said, "Okay, well, but audition for my play, please, and take my class, and take every acting class you feel you want to, because I do think that there's a future for you." And so I did I auditioned for his play, and he cast me. He cast me in a couple of plays. I lost touch with him. I wish that I hadn't. If I'm sure he's not watching this. I'm not sure he's still alive. But he probably is. He was pretty. But Ed Golden, who is a person I don't have a relationship anymore, is probably the most influential person in terms of being an actor. Because I think if he hadn't done that, I don't know that I don't think it would happen. I don't think it would happen. And then other things would happen, but I wouldn't have my wife and my child. Again, don't make no regrets. Ed Golden changed my life. And not dramatically, but not instantaneously.
Right.
He led me down a path where I was like, why not me?
Right.
You hear about, as a young actor, how the odds are so. And I said, but someone gets to do it.
Right.
Why not me? And I went to New York with that attitude, because I'd always done so well at college. I got cast in everything, and I wasn't even a theater major. Right. I must be great. There's nobody more talented or funnier than me. And then I got to New York, and I realized how talented I was not. You get there, especially musical theater.
Right.
And you're waiting to go in, and you're hearing somebody else sing, and the voice is just enormous and perfect. I'm like, I don't do that. I'm not that. So it was a...
get into the NFL.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting you say the NFL, because I've always talked about it like this. I've always talked about it. I said, when I got to New York, I realized, there is a talent... There's a lot of talented people here.
Right.
There's a lot of star quarterbacks who are star quarterbacks. I was probably a star quarterback in college, right? I was good, but everybody here was a star
quarterback.
So now I got to compete with all the star quarterbacks.
Right.
But in every show, or in many shows, you also need a guy who does that one thing really well.
Right.
I used to call it the long snapper. right? I mean, every NFL team has a guy who his whole job is to center the ball back on punts and kicks and get knocked over.
Right.
That's his job, but he's got to be great at it, because if he's great at it, the team succeeds.
Right.
My career has been, like, I am a theatrical long snapper.
I like it.
I just think that I'm not a great. I've always said this. I was never talented enough to be in the ensemble of the show, to be in the chorus, because you got to do all. You got to sing, dance, and act perfectly.
Right.
I can sing. I'm a singer. I'm a decent singer. I feel very strong in my ability to be an actor, and I dance. I can move a little bit, but you would never hire me to be a dancer in a show. You would probably never hire me to be a singer, just a singer in a show. But if you needed an actor who was comedic chops,
right,
and needed to dance a little, move a little, I'm a long snapper,
right,
in the world of theater, right? I don't know that I could, Christian Borle or any of these Broadway names. Those are the running backs, wide receivers. You know, the people that you've heard of, that you know, household names. Kristen Chenoweth, just Sutton Foster, all the big Broadway names. Those are your running backs, wide receivers, defensive backs, linebackers. I'm your long snapper. Everybody needs one.
That's awesome.
I mean, I consider myself talented, but I don't have the immense talent that I found when I came to New York. So I don't have that talent. I can't do that. But there are certain things that I do better than just about anybody.
Right.
And if the role is right, I'm the right person.
Right.
It happened for me. I mean, there's a lot of people who do what I did on Hairspray, but I got the opportunity to do it.
Right.
Not many people played Edna Turnblad on Broadway.
Right.
Maybe a dozen.
Right.
I was one of them.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, and in that specific case, my job on Hairspray was to be a standby for that lead role. Mm-hmm. So the Edna, also Wilbur, who's married to Edna,
right,
and then a third character role, smaller minor role. I had a build that was right for that, because they needed somebody. I think they needed somebody bald,
right, because
there's a reference to Wilbur being bald. They needed somebody large because Edna is large. And the other character not as important, but I mean, I had the right mix of look,
right,
talent. I had the right skills for that thing. I was really the right person for that job, and I'd never had a Broadway show before. And Jack O'Brien's award-winning director saw me and cast me. I remember the end of that audition. Him saying something like that could not have gone better. He was such a sweet guy, and I was in awe that I got to audition for this role for him. And they had seen me once before. I was living in LA. I didn't get it, but then they saw me again when I came to New York. I had a different agent. I don't even know if they remembered having seen me the first time. But I was in New York. I said, Hairspray was running. I go, well, I got to go see it, because I didn't get it last time. What was I missing? Because I had an idea of I read the play, but I'd never seen the show. I'd seen the movie. Then I saw the play, the Broadway show. There's so much heart. It is so funny. There's so much energy.
Right.
It's a near perfect show.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it gave me there's the third character I was talking about. I was looking for a little twist to give that character, the part that I was reading. And I didn't copy what the actor doing it was, but he gave me an idea of just a little signature to add to this audition that I was going to do. And it worked. It was just one of the best days of my life.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
I love hearing the stories of people, because it's getting to talk to people about their passions and what they do. It's been a couple of times where people, I want to say you were chosen, because there's a couple of times where you didn't, like the professor that, hey, come here.
Well, I think, yeah.
And
I agree. Is it chosen, or you're willing to take the
risk? I totally go with that. Because
I think, I'd love to think that I'm so talented that I was chosen.
Right.
But I think I had to believe in myself enough. That's which is weird, because that's the message of this belief is the message of Miracle on 34th Street, or believing in Santa Claus, believing that thing. I went to New York because I believed that I could do it. When I got there, I got that slap in the face, like, maybe I can.
Right.
I'm holding on. And there was a time where I kept telling people, well, my look, it's going to be a little bit later. I'm going to get there.
Right.
And sometimes I believed it, sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I don't know what I'm going to do.
Right.
I haven't prepared to do anything else. I'm not ready to give up. just going to keep trying.
Right.
And so, and then listen, I'm not a household name by any means. But I think when you look at on the grand scale, the people who try to do it at any level, I've done okay.
Right.
But I think that's it. I think it's like, they talk about if there's anything else you could do, you should do that thing. I don't know if I believe that.
Right.
I think if you have the spirit to be okay with a non-traditional life,
right,
that's the thing you need.
Right.
I've met talented people who are better than the people on Broadway who just couldn't deal with the rejection and couldn't deal with the lifestyle and wanted things in their life.
Right.
Until I was 30, I owned nothing. I sublet an apartment in New York. I owned nothing.
Right.
Didn't own a car. I owned nothing. Until I met my wife, I didn't really keep a checkbook. I just lived day to day.
Right.
The important thing was getting to that audition. And then once you had a job, well, then it was
like butter.
I have no responsibilities. I'm just on the road with this show, and my responsibility is to be the best performer I can be, and to bring joy to people,
right,
and to tell stories. God, if you can make a career of that, then I haven't really made a career of that. It's been part of the life that I have built. That you talk about the stories. Because we were close to that, but my favorite story. It's the end of a much longer story, but I was in a near-death accident. You probably they can't see this, right? But I may have.
Oh wow! No, I've never seen it. I didn't know that.
So it's a whole thing. I wish I could do the whole thing for you, but the truth is, this happened. My wife and I were in Las Vegas. We were coming back. My agent had reached out and said, "Hey, they want to see you for the show Grounded for Life." It was a TV show. Producers want to see you. Straight to producers. There's no pre-read. Can you cut your trip early? Come back. And so we did. And we were driving back to LA. And I said to my wife, "Hey, would you mind switching so I can look at the lines?" I haven't it's only a couple lines, about 10 lines, but I'd really like to get prepared. She goes, "Fine." We switched. Not 5 minutes later, a truck hauling 2 trailers. It was raining in LA. Slid into our car, and the trailer smashed. I have a void here the size of my fist, and truck tumbles over. We hit the divider. Traffic back to Vegas. I mean, it was on the news. It was a big big event, and fortunately, it happened right near a clinic in Arrowhead, not the one here, Lake Arrowhead in California, like 5 minutes from there. They cut me out with the jaws of life. I mean, I've lost consciousness, right? They take me to the hospital. They flew the truck driver to LA for whatever they did to him. And my wife is just waiting, and they intubated me, right? Because I was unconscious, and they put the thing in and intubated me. And they said to my wife, your husband has suffered a head injury, and we have to operate. There's a clot pressing on his skull. We have to remove that clot now, or he's going to die. And she said, well, okay. Is he going to walk again? Is he going to talk again? What's the prognosis? He said, it's a head injury. We won't know anything until he regains consciousness. That could be tomorrow. That could be in 5 months. I mean, it's really very. That night, I regained consciousness. And I remember when I came up, they had tied my wrists to the.
That must have been jarring.
Yeah, well, I felt it, and I felt this presence, and this is why they do it. I felt this presence in my throat, the intubation unit, and I wanted to pull it out. And my wife said, "Oh my God, he's awake." My wife hadn't left my side, and she said, "Do you want to write something?" And I did. And the very first thing I wrote was not "I love you," was not "Are you okay?" The very first thing I wrote, swear to God, we still have it. Call my agent. Call my agent. Because I'm not going to make that audition. They won't be able to see. Maybe they can see me tomorrow. And that's what it is. Right. That's what we talked about. Like, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing this. Maybe I am chosen. People said to me, there was somebody looking out for you that day, and they usually need somebody specific.
Right.
I didn't see anybody. Nobody's telling me to step out of the light.
Right.
I did have faith in that moment that whatever happened, I was going to be back.
Right.
I was going to be able to do what I love to do again. And then it was a long recovery.
Right.
But I did, right? And I'm agnostic.
Right.
But I believe that I tapped into something on that.
Right.
that made it. Because right before the truck hit, my wife said, he's going to hit us. And I looked up, and I knew he absolutely was. But I also knew, or believed I was going to be okay. I believed it. And I think that belief allowed me to heal. I think that somebody else facing the same circumstances without that optimism, without that hope, I don't know that they survived that. I don't know.
I didn't know that about you, Scott.
Yeah, I'm surprised because it used to be I couldn't go a day in my life without telling that story.
Well, because you have to, when you come back from something like that, you're really grateful.
Totally grateful for the first 3 weeks.
Where you had to really get back.
I'm never going to be upset about my circumstances because I'm lucky to be here.
Well,
I shouldn't. And then you go back. You do. You worry about all the wrong things and all the little things and how much you don't have. It's just. But once in a while, I put perspective on it and go, yeah, what am I complaining about? I am so lucky to be alive.
How long was your recovery with that? And what did you have to?
Months and months.
Yes.
I mean, as an actor, it took me about 8 months, I think, to get to a place where I felt okay. Because I was having trouble speaking.
Really?
It wasn't terrible, but it was just a little bit. My mouth couldn't catch up to my brain initially. I remember talking to a very good friend of mine from New York who had heard about the accident. She called, and she said, I could hear in her voice. She said, "Oh, well, she thinks I have brain damage. She thinks I'm not the same person. She thinks I've lost. I don't know what to call it. Right? That I've lost some mental capacity.
Right.
I could hear it in her voice. And I think I remember telling her, "Don't worry. I'll get back." I knew it. I knew that I would get there, but it did take a long time for me for my lips to catch up. And there was also I had a major head injury, and I think there was a lack of confidence in my ability to memorize.
Right.
It used to be I could look at a script and just let's shoot it. That was for if you were auditioning.
Yeah, of course.
But also just preparing stage auditions. It would take me very little time to learn the text, so that when I got into the audition room, I wasn't looking at it. I knew it. I had it in my hand. I was confident in it. I didn't have to look because I knew it. So there was a lot of concern about that. But I mean, for the first part, I was on heavy narcotics for the pain. So I would say 8 months.
Wow.
And this is what it led to. One of my first big job was after the accident. I was auditioning for the national tour of the Producers, written, conceived by Mel Brooks. You know Mel Brooks.
I love Mel Brooks. He's one of my favorites ever.
So I had initially been seen for it in LA. I'd had a call back. I didn't get it. Then I got a call from my agent, said, "Hey, they want you to fly to New York for the final callbacks for the first national tour." And I said, "Well, I mean, it's on my dime." She said, "Oh, absolutely, it's on your dime. You got to go." I said, "Yeah, that's a pretty large expense."
Right.
She said, "Yeah, but if you don't go, you're definitely not going to get it. You have to go." So I went, and I'm in the room, and that same fear I've always dealt with right before, because I'm hearing those big voices in that room. I'm the long snapper. I got to go in. All these wide receivers are showing off their skills, and I got to go in there and be funny, and I got to nail my thing. And I look in. You can actually at the new 42nd Street Studios in New York have like one of the from a school. You know, a school has a door but has that little rectangle.
Yeah.
So I look in there, and that was a mistake because there were so many people in that room.
Really?
Every producer of the producers and their assistants and their assistants. It was but right in the front, little sweetheart table, Mel Brooks and Susan Stroman. Stroman's the biggest thing in Broadway. There's the director, choreographer, super talented, with just a big deal. I can't believe I'm going into that room and all these great people, and I'm just letting that. I can feel it affecting me, and I'm going into my shell, and I'm gonna be inside my head. And then I thought, and you know the show is sort of about. It's making fun of Hitler, right? It's about a lot of Nazi.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting out there, and I'm getting so nervous. I see someone else, and I'm trying to make him laugh, and he blows me off. And I'm like, that's me. I'm usually like that. Right? I'm just closing up. I'm about to go in, and I have to be open. I have to have my wits. And I said, and I thought about it, and I said, look at all that I've come through. Right? I survived this crash.
Right.
I said, there's nothing on the other side of that door that is anywhere near what I went through and survived. Right. So unless there are actual Nazis on the other side of that door, I'm probably going to survive this audition. Right. So why not go in with that kind of attitude? And I did. And I do the song. They had. I was auditioning for the role of Franz, the Nazi playwright.
Right.
I do the song. Great response from them. And now I'm reading the scene, a Franz scene. And I mean, it just, I've never had an audition feel so right. And there were so many people. Usually it's 2 or 3 people.
Right.
This was 30. And so when there were laughs, they were big. And I had given myself permission. You don't have to get laughs.
Right.
Don't put too much pressure on yourself. They were there. The laughs were there. The scene goes beautifully. Right. Stroman comes up, says, Scott, that was excellent. She said, there's a role in the second act. I want you to, it's a judge. Small role, but just read it over and then just go ahead and take a shot at it. I go, can I go in the hall? She goes, you don't need to go in the hall. Just take a look at it. And I said, okay. I said, but I wanted to sound like an actor, right? So I said, what's my motivation? And she begins to tell me. And I didn't hear a word she said, because the only voice I could hear in the room was Mel Brooks telling the room, that was funny.
Wow.
Funny read. Kid's funny. And I remember thinking in that moment, I really want this job. Right. But I don't need to get it because Mel Brooks just told me I'm back.
That's awesome. I love that. What did it come back?
Yeah, and I made it. And then I booked it, and he was around rehearsal all the time, and I met him, and I met Anne Bancroft, and it was so thrilling. And we opened that show in Boston, which is where I'm from, so my parents felt a part of it, and it was those little rewards like that make it all worthwhile. All of the suffering, all of the rejection, and there's so much of it. Right. It's nothing but rejection. The percentage, even the most successful, except for the big names, right, who don't have to audition. If you're booking more than 5% of the time, you are amazing. Right. You're amazing. I'm talking about people who are doing it like in New York. Yeah. But it's because
New York is saturated, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, but that's where you go. Right. That's where you go. And now, again, like I said, it's different. Now you don't have to live there. Right. But I've had some talks now with New York agents about maybe getting back in because I don't have to live there anymore. Right. It still would be hard. I'm going to maintain my job at the resort, and I don't know how that's going to work out over time. But you don't have to. You don't have to live in New York or LA or Chicago anymore. Right. I think it's easier. Right. I think because they're still going to want to see you in person for a callback. So still, we're going to have to fly out on my dime again, I suppose, if I ever get into that situation. I think every person should live in New York for a short period of time in their life.
If your current place of employment gave you, and there's a lot of ifs here. Yes. Gave you that, like a reprieve, and you did get a call out, would you go out to Chicago or New York?
If they gave me a reprieve. If I knew that I could maintain my benefits. Yeah. Yeah, of course it would. Yeah, I don't think that's realistic. I mean, this is the first show I did. So I did 2 shows. I did Fiddler in May, June, July. This was November, December. So that was almost 5 months that I was an actor this year, which is
pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, it's great. With also maintaining another full-time job.
I have a question for you. You were in a play where you played 2 scenes. Was that in Fiddler, or was that a different one?
Two characters.
Didn't you do something like that? And
I didn't know. Book of Will.
And then people didn't know that was you.
So, I mean, hopefully you'll be able to splice some photos of me. Yeah. When we're doing this.
They just steal the words.
Of all the piracies of Will's work, this one was the worst. A book.
Of Will's plays?
Yes. The real plays by William Shakespeare, set down as they were done by us.
I think that's rather brilliant.
Not one printer on Fleet Street is willing.
I went to everyone. They all say they can't print such a large project.
You don't have the rights to all the plays. You stole those plays, which you had no right to print nor call Will.
All the Shakespeare I could find.
No! Oh my God, Crane, I could kiss you.
Thank you, let's not.
You don't know what we're doing.
This is our heart on those pages.
A theatre you fill up with words.
Story is a
to Will.
A play called Book of Will, and I played this character Richard Burbage in the first scene of the play. And he was a Shakespearean actor, and it was the great Laurence Olivier of his age, right? He was the guy, and he also had encyclopedic knowledge of Shakespeare's works because he was part of the King's Men. Those players. So that's one character I played. And that character, spoiler alert, dies in the first year of play. And then my other character is this very seedy publisher, right? Who's all about money. He's not about the art. He's about money, and he takes shortcuts. And he's not that. He's interested in
right.
getting for him. He's interested in the money that he made. Completely. Burbage is about the art and about the works of Shakespeare, and this character, whose name is escaping me, is not.
We'll put that in the bottom right here.
Yeah, but that was the thing. So for Burbage, I said, I thought about it. I said, and I don't typically do what I'm about to tell you that I did, but my goal was I want to be two completely different people. I want people not to be certain,
right?
To think there were two separate actors playing them. So for Burbage, I really wanted I don't know if the actor Richard Harris or Peter O'Toole, these great Shakespearean English actors who have big head of hair. So I said I want to do like a wig. I want Richard Harris's hair,
right?
And I want a beard so that when I appear in the second act, I want to be bald,
right,
and clean shaven. And then this character, because he was blind, had sunglasses, and although I fought with my wife about this, I think there were definitely people. Michael Carey, we talked about Michael earlier. He's in the show with me, and he says Karen asked what you did. Did you just go home after you played Burbage? I go, what do you mean? He goes, oh. She said, well, because you bow in the other role, and so you didn't bow as Burbage. She thought you just went home. She didn't realize you played both characters.
That's awesome. That's a compliment. That's a serious compliment.
Huge compliment. And in this case, it was my goal.
Right.
I really wanted, I just thought, I have this. This is such a benefit.
Right.
Because to wig that really does change the way you look. As I said forever, I look better bald.
Right.
I remember, because I had a big, I don't know if I can say on your website, you'll cut it if I can't. We call it a Jew fro.
Right.
And I grew up Jewish, but we had that curly hair. And so I don't think it looked good. It was just what's his name? What's that actor? He was in.
No.
He was in.
Blazing Saddle?
No. He's fat and then he was thin. I can't think of his name.
Oh, current actor?
Yeah.
Oh, I just lost his name.
Seth
Rogen.
No, but the other guy.
Why did I lose his name? He's a good actor.
He's
a really good actor. Right.
But anyway, my point is, I've always said, I look better bald.
Right.
I was meant to be bald. I had horrible hair. And I think bald is beautiful. And I do think bald is beautiful.
Right.
I do believe that. But when I put on a wig,
right,
my eyes just pop and oh my God, I'm so much better.
This is another person.
I really am. I'm a much better looking person with hair.
Would you ever do a one-man show if they gave you the opportunity?
Yes, of course. That story that I was telling you, the story about the accent and then how it led to the producer's audition, I did sort of workshop that into a 25-minute piece.
Right.
That I'd like to get back to someday, but I don't know that I will. It takes such, I don't know that I could write a piece like that.
Right.
I want to be able to.
So you write too as well?
No, I don't really, but I did that.
Yeah.
I have through my life had jobs here and there to help write dialogue for corporate shows, corporate videos. I've done little hits like that, but I'm not a writer. I mean, I don't have the discipline.
Gotcha.
I wish I did, because I do think I might be good at it, but I don't. But I don't have the. I don't have that. I think the people who write are unbelievable.
Right.
Anything, if you can finish anything.
Right.
If it's horrible, you're amazing. You're amazing that you anything that's more than 70 pages long.
Right.
It's incredible. How do they do that?
Right. Sit there and focus, and then have everything be cohesive and.
Well, I mean that's editing and writing. That's what I'm saying. But even if you're what we might consider a terrible writer,
right?
It's amazing that you did that.
Right.
How did you do that? I guess maybe they spoke into a
recorder,
and then somebody wrote it down. Maybe, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how they do that.
Right.
I'd like to. Maybe that'll be my third act.
You could do that. I believe in you. Well, Scott, just because we have to give back this area.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you giving me your time and setting this up to where we're on the stage.
No, it's been my pleasure. And I hope that people who are watching this come out to the Phoenix Theater Company. They really do a tremendous job here. They create a season's worth of theater. They have options where you can be like I don't know it's a very small amount of money to be like a campus pass holder, and you can come and see the show as often as you like. Don't quote me on any of that, but I mean, I really do think they have 2 spaces that they're working with now. They're building an amazing new state-of-the-art theater that's supposed to open summer of next year.
Okay.
They're looking for capital contributions. Please reach out to the Phoenix Theater Company with any contributions you might make. It really is. It's special that we have this here. I don't think every city has its theater community. I think this place is kind of special,
right?
Because it has so many venues. Because they're offering so much, creating so many jobs for creatives. Amazing. I'm so blessed to have found it.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Please subscribe, comment. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know if you want to be an actor. Let us know if you've seen Scott in any of his plays. Catch you next time.